excited for our podcast called Signs and Stories. Something new, something interesting. Today, I'm interviewing a deaf person. This is his sign name. He is a jeweler and he makes jewelry such as earrings, rings, and necklaces. Today, he's going to share his life story and what he's passionate about. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well.
This is my sign name. My name is Ditebogo Sesana. I stay in Pretoria, Tshwane, Soshanguve. Don't get it confused with Soweto, it's Soshanguve.
Yes.
I learned about jewelry at a place in rural Lenasia at a jewelry academy. I studied there for 10 years and then left. Following that, senior management found a placement for me and I continued working there for 3 years. I then found another job and I've currently been working there for 8 years.
How did your attraction to jewelry making begin?
The facilitator taught me how to make jewelry for a month, and from there I knew what to do on my own and I continued. It felt great. But when I started working, I experienced challenges because now we were selling jewelry to clients. It wasn't the same as the academy. You must preserve the elements by weighing them to ensure a meticulous product. Failure to do so would result in a penalty.
Okay, that's really interesting. When you make the jewelry products, doesn't it get boring doing the same thing? Or are there new things you enjoy learning?
Yes, we have. We have different designs, not just rings. We make rings, earrings, necklaces, anything.
Oh really? Are they diamonds?
Yes, diamonds and gold.
Interesting. Can you steal it or not?
If you do steal, you'll get arrested.
Okay, that's true. It's a high-risk job. Yes.
The client's job sheet is important because it explains the design, specific measurements, and other information. I receive the job sheet and I create the jewelry products according to specific measurements. The manager receives the final product and calls the clients.
Okay. Do you dwell on the design for a long time, or do you look at the job sheet once and then create the product?
Yes, I look at the design and put it away. Then I continue creating the product.
Oh, that's very interesting. You're very skilled.
If I struggle, I ask the white gentleman for assistance and we work together. He explains the specific measurements to me. When he goes away, I continue on my own.
Are you the only deaf person working there?
Yes, I am.
Is communication good with your hearing colleagues?
It's good.
Do they learn sign language?
They use pen and paper.
Oh, okay. It's written communication.
When I first started, they scrambled because they didn't know how to sign.
Now I'm going to ask you about your family. Are you the only deaf person in your family? How do you communicate?
I grew up being able to hear from birth until the age of 7. At the age of 8, I became deafened.
How did you become deafened?
My mother told me that my ears had a problem and we went to the doctor. Unfortunately, the doctor misdiagnosed me. Technology today is advanced. We have hearing aids and various devices. Unlike before, doctors used incorrect methods to diagnose illnesses. That's how I became deafened. In 1992, I moved to Dominican School for the Deaf in Hammanskraal, and I continued schooling there. At the time, my signing wasn't perfect. During school holidays, I came back home to visit family, and my family used adaptive signs to communicate with me. My sister could sign very well, and communication between us was very good.
That's interesting.
But over time, her signing ability dropped
There was no time.
because she focused on hearing people. I'm deaf.
The same with other people as well.
I socialize easily with hearing people from observing my hearing family and being the only deaf. I had to adapt around hearing people, both deaf and hearing people. The problem is that deaf people live far away, hearing people are closer to home.
That's true.
Communication is very basic. Like, did you see the fight yesterday? Or drinking alcohol? Just basic signs.
Yes, basic signs. So you grew up in Hammanskraal and looked for a job after school? True.
When I finished school in Hammanskraal, I never thought I would find work whatsoever. I stayed at home for some time. As I grew a little older, I was approached by a deaf guy and he asked me if I was working. I said no. He referred me to the Jewellery Academy and I continued from there.
Oh, that's nice. You've talked about your life and family. Let's put that aside. As an adult, did you stay with family or live independently in a room?
I live alone, but previously I lived with my family. When I found a good job, my mother said I should go. I didn't understand what she meant by that. I realized she meant being independent. Living independent didn't start out too well because it was the first time for me.
Yes, that's true. That's normal with most people. When they move out of the parents' home, there's no bed. They have to look for work and save money to buy things. That's how it usually is.
After some time, I grew and everything turned out well. My family was happy when I visited them. I went to work and visit them occasionally.
That's how life is. Do you have children?
Yes, I have one.
You're a father.
She's 7 years old.
That's sweet.
She currently lives in Limpopo.
Is she hearing?
Yes, she's hearing.
Do you communicate well?
Yes, she can sign.
That's lovely.
She stays in Limpopo with her mother's family.
Oh yes. Do you know that SSL will soon be an official language? How do you feel about that?
Well, it's her choice. I don't know. She will tell me.
That's true. We force our children to learn sign language. That's true. It's the same with my children. They need to learn purely for communication. But it's good that SSL will be an official language because maybe in future our children will grow up wanting to become interpreters, etc. I think it's perfect because it will create access. These shops must learn sign language.
Yes.
Our voices sound awkward to hearing people. We use pen and paper to communicate. It's exhausting. I want to easily communicate using sign language.
Our children must look to each other so they can learn how to sign.
That's true.
If they are exposed to both deaf and hearing people, they will be confused and torn between the two. They will grow up speaking because they spend most of their time around hearing people.
Indeed.
It's confusing.
True. I agree with you. At your workplace, you are the only deaf person among hearing colleagues. During the recent COVID pandemic, did you experience any communication barriers from wearing a face mask? Did you have access?
Well, during the pandemic, our offices were closed. We stayed at home. During level lockdown 3, only a select few were allowed to come to work, not the entire group. The desks were also spaced apart according to social distancing. We did wear face masks, however, we removed them when we were working.
Why?
Because we use gas to produce jewelry, and gas releases toxic fumes.
Oh, gas has toxic fumes. Interesting.
So we removed our masks, but we had to take care of our faces. Secondly, when the manager approached, he wrote on the job sheet and walked away. He just dropped off the job sheet and left. I knew why he did this, because close contact was not allowed.
Yes, that's true. I have a question. At your workplace, just as you explained that gas releases fumes, what if a fire breaks out? How did you hear?
Yes, I'd watch the people sitting next to me and follow what they do. Not people sitting far because I won't hear.
So you constantly have to be alert.
The person sitting next to me will alert me for danger. Then I'll look up and keep watch. Also, there are water sprinklers in the office to quench the fire if it does break out.
Oh yes.
We have fire extinguishers there's gas masks similar to police and firefighters use.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. Yes, we have. The entire place is safe because we have equipment. Have you been trained?
Yes, I have.
Perfect. We've talked about your work. Now I want to know about your social life with other deaf people.
What I've observed with my deaf people is that they face difficulties regarding their future. I say this because they have clear study goals mapped out, but later in life, they go off course.
That's true. It's happened to many people.
As they gain work experience, they actually realize they prefer technology Instead, they end up working in factories and different industries of this nature. What they should do is pursue a career aligned with their studies.
That's true.
But it's difficult.
What happens with most deaf people after completing their studies that they choose a different career path because of employment opportunities, and they take it. There are some who return to their career path, but yes, that's true. It does happen a lot. What's your advice to people who want to become a jeweler like you?
Yes, my advice to them is many people are chasing the money. They have no true interest in jewelry. They want to get rich. I say this because they completed their studies. All they thought about was making money. But unfortunately now, reality, they suffer due to unemployment.
So many guys are only after the money.
True, that's the problem. Also, when I meet them at a sporting event, they always say they want to work and, to put work first and not chase the money.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. It's happened to many people. They must strive to learn. The money doesn't matter. What's important is the skill they possess. Look at you. You have a skill and you've worked for many years.
Another thing is that deaf people need to look after their future. If they want to start a business or complete an NPO or a private company, they can get funding from the Lerato. But how will they communicate with the funders? They won't get funding for 1 million rand. They'll probably get about 50,000 rand. Deaf people will complain saying that it's not fair, it's too little, no ways, you see?
Indeed. Yes, that's true.
Because they're only thinking about getting rich. No, they must put money aside and focus on the future and their well-being.
The skill as well, true.
Working is good because it sustains your future. You can progress in life.
Yes.
If you only want to get rich, what happens when the contract is over? You'll find yourself sitting at home and unemployed.
That's true. True. I never thought of that. It happens to many deaf people out there. What's sad is that today life is extremely difficult. Petrol prices have increased and everything else. But what about our salaries? Same amount without any increase. That needs much attention because it affects the future. People need to be careful. Yes, deaf people can enjoy a social life. I too enjoy socializing and having fun, but it must not be excessive. They must find balance. What's your advice, especially to young people? They need to focus on the future. I see many deaf people going to parties, which is fine, but where's their future? How would you advise them?
Deaf people need to take care of their future. Secondly, they must look after their families.
Indeed.
Thirdly,
Friends?
if their friends behave badly, they must remove themselves from them. Not completely cut them off. No, they must leave their friends to focus on their future careers, then to teach their friends how to take care of their futures.
Yes.
Also, it's best for deaf people to associate with hearing people when challenges arise about their future. Communication in companies will be easier for them and hearing people around. Out of fear, deaf people may stumble and struggle to express themselves and communication will be unclear because sign language is not understood. The majority of people are hearing and it's hard to find common deaf people. I think deaf people must start their own businesses in order to sustain their futures.
That's true. Will you one day start your own business?
I hope so. I'm crossing fingers.
I believe you can do it. If you set your mind to it, absolutely you can do it. They'll look up to you. Exactly.
Deaf people will find work. Children, older people, even senior people, no problem. They can just join me because they have no future. They are welcome.
You see? This is very interesting and exciting. To have a passionate person like him with a dream. He's encouraging young people to take care of their future. Life today has many struggles, and your dream is very important. Don't stop dreaming. You will make it. Look up to Ditebogo and follow his example. Thank you very much for coming and giving your time.
Thank you very much. Bye.